Okay, segment number 2 of answering your questions. And this one is also from Tosh. I actually came up with a question I think I've never heard. To my impression, in this album, compared to the past ones, there's a slightly different approach to how voices are handled. David sings in at least 2 tracks, and overall, there's a higher focus on the interaction between different voices, who blend perfectly and move under the spotlight seamlessly, even within the same track. Now, this may not be a completely new thing for Lycia, but I've never seen it to this extent in past albums. I wonder if this thing just happened or if there was a careful planning to head exactly in this direction. Knowing how methodic Mike can be, I'd be leaning to think about the latter, but I'd be curious to hear more about it from you guys. It was absolutely deliberate. Mike does nothing accidental. So, he wanted this album to be more collaborative, and this is definitely by far the most collaborative Lycia album there's ever been. And I really, really loved that Dave sang on 2 songs. I also really, really loved having Sarah on doing backing vocals on Hiraeth. I was super stoked that I got to sing on the Low Crimes song, and because I respect her so much, and I just think she's so talented. And so it was awesome to have her sing on Lycia with me, and it was kind of cool to have another girl too, because I've been the lone chick in the band since I joined, so that was kind of cool. And I think it's really cool because our voices are so similar that I don't think people can necessarily tell who's who. I even know for myself, it's hard, like when I did the vocals for Low Crime, I still have a hard time differentiating my voice from hers. Sorry, I just went through puberty. So that was really cool. And then I really loved having Michael Irwin sing too, and I think that it was a really cool thing because he and Mike were in Mike's first band together, and so it was really cool after all these years to record one of their songs and to have Michael sing on it. And I think it's really cool because Michael has kind of like a Bowie quality to his voice, which I thought was really cool because it's so different from Mike's. So yeah, it was definitely intentional, and I love it, and I'm really, really happy that that happened. And Tosh has a comment. Okay, let me go to a different question first. Edson asks, here are 2 questions. First, can you tell me more about the Day in the Stark Corner, the inspiration behind it, and period it was recorded? And for some reason, the second half of your question got cut off. So, or no, maybe it didn't. Okay, so anyways, I'm sorry, I'm blabbering. Let's see, A Day in the Stark Corner. I think the primary theme of A Day in the Stark Corner is isolation. That's basically the state that Mike was in while he recorded it. Emotionally, physically, he kept himself very isolated, and you know, obviously I can't speak for him to go fully into the meanings behind all the songs and all that kind of stuff, but I know from talking to him about it that he was just in a very dark and isolated state at that time. And I really love that album. It's I hate to say it's one of my favorites because they're all are favorites of mine, but pre-Terra albums, I mean, Ionia and Stark Corner are always going to be super important to me because it's almost like a completely different band, because who I was when I listened to them is very different than who I was after I was in the band. So those are always going to be really special to me. And I kind of remember that you also asked, but the question got cut off on my sheet, that you talked about there not being a lot of press and stuff about that album. Like not a lot of people talk about it, but I kind of disagree with that to a certain degree, because like when that album came out, like Peter Steele talked about it a lot, and like most of the people who are kind of like into Lycia from like the metal scene are either fans of that album or cold. And so it kind of did get a lot of press. Like I think if you do a Google search, you'll see the name kind of comes up a lot. I hope I answered your question well enough. And then a question about Fifth Son being physical. No, that CD is never going to be physical. It's always going to be for free download on Bandcamp. And it's been out for so long now that there would be kind of no point to releasing that on CD, I think. But I also think, Tosh, you answered that question very well also. About how, you know, like, basically for us, we're not in this to make money. It's nice that people support you and everything, but we gave up the idea of making a living off music in like 1998. So our goal now is to just put music out, and hopefully people want to still support it. But our main goal is to like sell out of our product, so that whoever put the money into it, like whatever label, you know, we're working with Handmade Birds, we don't want him to have closets full of stock sitting there that he paid for that are just sitting there. So our goal now is to sell everything. And if we can do that, then we're ahead of the game. So, we don't, you know, so many people are like, when are you going to release this album on vinyl or whatever? And we don't release things just to release it. It's not an ego. Like, it's not like, oh, look at this cool vinyl. Of course you're like, oh man, that would be awesome to have. But you can't like put your ego in the way and say, well, I'm going to do this whether it makes financial sense. Okay, so 15 people want this. It's not worth the financial burden of paying for somebody to pay for that. So there's lots of things we wish we could do, maybe, though Mike's not like a huge vinyl fan, but you know, whatever. I think I explained myself well enough on that one. But it's just a different day and age. Like, you can't, I mean, we used to put out a CD and like you sold like thousands of it in the first week, and now it's like, oh, we sold out 500 copies, and weirdly that's like amazing. So we're very thankful for the 500 of you that buy stuff, so that's awesome. But yeah, it's not, you know, our goal is just to not stick somebody with a bill basically and stock and blah blah blah. So I guess that's my answer. And okay, I'm going to pause now and go to the next segment. Bye.